welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at your sources on Azerbaijan, specifically the weather forecast for early August 2025, but also how that connects to the bigger climate change picture there.
Exactly. Our mission really is to pull out the key insights for you, connect the dots between what's happening right now, weather-wise, and the long-term shifts.
Okay, let's dive in.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how this immediate forecast, which is mainly about a pretty major heat wave, how that slots into, well, decades of warming and increasing water stress we've seen from the data, including reports from their National Hydrometeorological Service.
Right, so it's not just a one-off event.
Not at all. It's part of a pattern.
Okay, so let's get specific then. The immediate outlook, August 5th to the 14th. What should you be expecting on the ground? Heat, rain?
Well, the main headline is definitely the heat wave. It's significant, and it's already underway.
Already started.
Yes. So daytime temperatures are expected to frequently go over 35 degrees Celsius and potentially hit 40, maybe even 41 degrees in lowland areas, and in Baku as well.
Wow, 41. And nights. Any relief then?
Not much, unfortunately. Nights are staying pretty warm, somewhere between 22 and 29 Celsius.
What about rain? Any chance of that breaking the heat?
Generally, no. Conditions look mostly dry in the main populated areas. You might get some short-term showers, but really only up in the mountains.
I see.
So no widespread storms, thunderstorms, hail, that kind of thing expected for the main cities or lowlands.
Okay. And you mentioned Baku near the Caspian Sea. Anything specific there?
Yeah, the water temperature around Baku is actually quite pleasant, about 26 degrees Celsius, good for swimming.
Right.
But the downside is that high evaporation from the sea can increase humidity along the coast, which, makes that intense heat feel even worse.
Okay, so boiling it down, what's the immediate risk for you, the listener? What should you be doing?
The heat wave risk is definitely high, especially in Baku and the lowlands. Part of that is the urban heat island effect.
Yes, where the city itself traps heat.
Exactly. All the concrete and asphalt. So public health advice is key here. Stay hydrated, that's critical. Seek shade whenever possible. Try to limit outdoor activities during the hottest part of the day.
Which is usually when?
Typically sort of noon to 5 p.m. And if cooling centers are available, definitely use them. This is especially important for, vulnerable groups, kids, the elderly, people with chronic health issues, and anyone working outdoors.
That makes sense. These immediate risks are pretty stark. But you mentioned this connects to a bigger picture. How does this heat wave fit into Azerbaijan's long-term climate story?
Yeah, that's where it gets really concerning when you look at the trends. Azerbaijan is considered highly vulnerable to climate change. It's experiencing accelerated warming.
How accelerated?
Well, here's a striking example from Baku. Between 1960 and 1990, over that whole 30-year period, they had 86 summer days where the temperature went above 35 degrees C.
Okay, 86 days in 30 years.
Right. Now look at the next 30 years, 1991 to 2020. That number jumped to 365 days.
Wow. That's more than a fourfold increase.
Exactly. So what used to be considered an extreme heat day is becoming, well, almost regular. And looking ahead, future projections under, let's say, high emission scenarios, sort of the worst case path, suggest average summer temperatures could rise by almost 6 degrees Celsius by the 2090s.
6 degrees Celsius. That fundamentally changes everything.
It really does. It redefines what's normal.
And it's not just temperature, is it? You mentioned other effects.
Right. It's the combination. Take rainfall. Long term, the projections point towards increasing aridity, less summer rain overall. The probability of drought could shoot up dramatically, maybe 73 to 85% by the end of the century.
So drier overall.
Yes, but, and this is the tricky part, it's also projected that when it does rain, those events could become more frequent and more intense, heavy downpours.
Ah, the precipitation paradox. Long, dry spells broken by sudden floods.
Exactly. It creates this really difficult scenario, risk of drought, but also risk of flash floods and landslides. And layered on top of this is serious water scarcity.
How serious?
Water reserves have already dropped by about 20% in the last 30 years, and they're projected to decline further. Plus, Azerbaijan gets a lot of its water, maybe 50 to 70%, from rivers flowing in from neighboring countries.
Which are probably facing similar issues.
Precisely. They're also water stressed. This raises the very real potential for regional competition over water. Some reports even mention the, quote, potential weaponization of access to water supplies. It becomes a significant geopolitical risk factor.
Okay, so rising heat, paradoxical rain, water scarcity, potential geopolitical tension. When these trends play out, What does it mean for people's lives, their work, their health?
Well, agriculture is hugely vulnerable. The heat, the lack of reliable water, land degradation, it all threatens crop yields, livestock.
Right.
And think about outdoor labor. Productivity can plummet in extreme heat. One study suggested maybe a 50% loss in work capacity for moderate tasks when it's 33, 34 degrees C. That hits rural livelihoods hard, and food security, too.
And public health, beyond the immediate heat stroke risk.
Yeah, increased heat-related illnesses, higher mortality rates, especially in cities and among those vulnerable groups we mentioned. There's also concern about vector-borne diseases like malaria potentially re-emerging or spreading to higher altitude areas that were previously too cool for them.
And cities like Baku are hotspots, literally.
Yes, very much so, due to that urban heat island effect. Dense buildings, dark surfaces soaking up heat. That makes things like urban greening, planting trees, green roofs, and energy-efficient building design really critical for mitigation, trying to cool the city down.
So, faced with all this heat, water, health, agriculture, what are the big solutions needed? It sounds complex.
It is complex. It really demands comprehensive strategies across multiple sectors. You need better water resource management, definitely. Ways to make agriculture more resilient, strengthening the public health system to cope, making cities more climate resilient.
Right.
And underpinning all of that is the need for sustained climate action, both nationally within Azerbaijan and, through international cooperation.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener really takes away from all this?
I think it's that climate change isn't just this slow creep of average temperatures going up. It's really about the extremes becoming more frequent, more intense. And it highlights how interconnected everything is, the environment, people's health, their jobs, even regional politics. It's all linked. Understanding that complexity is, I think, key to finding real solutions.
A really important point to end on. That's all for this deep dive. We hope it helped you cut through the noise and understand the situation in Azerbaijan a bit better.